Hey, it's MK, and I am here with a Messy Monday layout for you guys today. I am also playing along with May I Scraplift You, and today we are scraplifting Darla Weber. I am also playing along with the Mix It Up Monday, which is basically where we take a sketch and then add a little bit of mixed media to it. Today's sketch is by Brandy Joe, and I am still working with my 2025 cruise layouts. So today I am going to take this pocket page that Darla did, and I'm going to incorporate a few pieces from Brandy's layout or sketch. And one of the things I'm going to definitely do is take this banner element and add it to my pocket page, which I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I'm going to be using my ink spray in Hickory Smoke. I think it's called Hickory Smoke, or it's pumice stone. I honestly can't remember. But I do have all of these leftover little bits that are from the cruise kit. I will link the where the cruise kit is, because I have a couple cruise kits left over if you guys are interested. These are just, so far the layouts are just using very minimal additions to what we have for the leftovers. There are so many leftovers in this kit. These kits were ginormous this go around. So here is another paper that was left over, and we used some punches to punch out the elements. I would like to do that again. I also have this piece here that was a leftover from when we put our kits together. I'm thinking about using the stripes, but I'm not really sure just yet. I have these wood veneer pieces that were exclusives that I created for the crop that I am specifically at. They might show back up at the shop. I'm not really sure just yet. We'll see how that works. I also have all of these butterflies, and truth be told, all that I had left were the really see-through ones, like the one that I have at the bottom, and I'm going to show you guys how I made them pop a little bit more. So that's going to be coming out here soon. I also have my photos slightly laid out to where I wanted to make sure I had enough to do a faux pocket page. I'm going to use this puffy sticker from from Vicky Bouton's puffy set. I have a couple pieces of twine that I want to use for my banner. Tons of photos of the classroom and the introduction pictures of when we introduced ourselves at the beginning of the class. I have a film strip left over, as well as another label, another layering piece from the die cut pack, as well as a larger picture of the classroom before everyone showed up. And then this beautiful piece that was created by Regina Cornelius during our swap on the ship. You guys, I loved the addition of having a swap on the ship. That was so fun. Okay, so for my base piece, I'm going to use this gorgeous blue piece of paper, my favorite of all time papers. It's the Foundation 2 paper, and then from Heidi Swap Set Sail, I'm going to use the wave paper, but flip it over and end up using the ledger piece. So for my base piece, I am going to use just this blue piece. It is so striking and so beautiful. Joni matches this paper with the cute little outfit she was wearing. She matched it beautifully, plus all my elements are blue. So it's going to be a very monochromatic layout, minus the addition of this ledger piece of paper, which I hadn't planned on doing a monochromatic at all. It just ended up being that way. Okay, so for Messy Monday, we are messing around with ink sprays. And I am going to just spray through the ink or stencil, and then I'm going to stamp with the stencil. So that way I don't waste any ink. And I'm also trying to avoid having that harsh line from the border of the stencils, but I end up having it anyways. And to make it look like it's all filled in, I'm just going to take my ink bottle or my ink spray bottle and splatter. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing with this said piece of paper yet. I just wanted to add some ink and splattering. It also goes with my Mix It Up Monday by adding the splattering. So even though I'm not adding it to the sketch like Brandy Joe did in her sketch, I am still adding it in a way. It's just not as noticeable in the end when I end up actually putting the layout all together. All right, then I'm going to take some of these pieces. Now, I won't be using all of these pieces. I just went through and picked and chose all the pieces that I wanted to punch out. This piece here, since it's not already punched in and wonky or hard to store, I should say, I'm not going to punch into that one today. I feel like I have enough elements just by the 3 strips that were already punched into, and I'm going to try to make those work. I'm going to cut out the word today so that way I could just get my desk cleaned up a little bit. Usually when I'm at a crop, the desk space isn't as abundant as what I have at home. So I do have to tend to stay a little bit tidier. I wish I could take that and apply it to being at home. I don't know why I don't. When I am done with a layout, I tend to put everything away. And then before I start on another layout, I have a brand new desk to play with every time at a crop. Why I don't apply that at home is beyond me. I have no clue, but it's okay. So I went ahead and I fussy cut out the stripes. I'm going to see if I can incorporate them. I'm not sure. But now that my paper is dry, let's see what I'm going to be doing with said paper. Well, first I need to see where I need to apply it. I already pre-printed my pictures out to go in certain spots. So I pre-planned that part of what kind of photos I was going to need based off of Brandy Joe's. Now I am shy 1 photo, which is okay. And that's where that large element, that pre-made embellishment from Regina comes in play. So I've got a spot for a title. I've got all my photo places. I had a spot for a journaling. I think I still do. And then I will have a large element. And then at the bottom is where I want to expand that banner piece. And instead of it going just underneath my picture, 1 picture, I want it to expand underneath all 4 of those pictures. So you'll see how I incorporate the banner. It's a banner-esque. Let's just call it that. It is definitely reaching as far as a banner goes. So you won't see the swag and you won't see the uniform of the little triangles, but it is definitely banner-esque in a way. All right, so I decided to use these super cool, oh my gosh, you guys, I love Altenew dies. I love them. And so this one here is a postage stamp die, and then it has a layer on top of it. So you could either use the layer with the postage stamp and just have the postage frame, or you can use both dies and layer them up. And then you have like a 3D element to your postage stamp, which I think is pretty cool too. But especially for travel. Postage stamp edge is definitely awesome for travel, but this edge here is a distressed edge. And I thought, oh, this is so cool. So I went ahead and I inked all of my edges, but then I turned around and I distressed the edges as well. I feel like this layout is going to be very flat. And every time I think something's going to be flat, that's when I add my distressing. Or I also add it, don't mind the photo being upside down. I do fix it, I promise, before I use glue. But I do end up adding distressing to outdoors layouts as well, because that just feels like outdoor to me when I add my roughed up edges. So anyways, there's lots of reasons and excuses on why I choose to do distressing. They're all right. It's all okay. Distress all the things. Also too, another little element that I added to my sprayed stencil images was a little bit of ink. So when I was distressing the edges with the hickory smoke ink, or pumice, I think this is hickory smoke, because I don't remember having a pumice stone ink pad. That's why I think it's hickory smoke. But I also made a little bit more of a distressed blended look into the stencil. So that way the stencil stood out just a little bit more. So I did that as well. I love taking my stencils and spraying through them. The trick about spraying through your stencil is that you don't want to get too close. When you get too close, you get too much of that liquid on your stencil, and then it starts to bleed underneath. Now, you're also not going to get a perfect image either. So that's another thing that you kind of have to let go as well, is the want for a perfect image. So you spray far away. Now you can get 1 or 2 sprays out of a far away spray, but the more you keep adding that liquid, the more it has nowhere to go but underneath your stencil. And then of course my other favorite thing to do is flip the stencil over and use it as a stamp. So you're not using or wasting any of that ink at all. It's used both ways. And then you have the reverse image, which I think is really cool as well. I just love being able to have both images. All right, so now that I've got everything laid out and how I want it, I definitely wanted to lay everything out to see how it all works together. I don't necessarily have my title on yet. There's a lot of things that I'm not going to be adding just yet to the layout. I just want to add things in spurts, right? So first I added everything I knew I wanted or needed. Like I needed a space for a title, I needed a space for journaling, and I needed to bring in that banner piece down at the bottom. So then I decided, okay, I need gaps to fill in. So then that's when I brought in all of my butterflies. And now I want to bring in my wood pieces. And does it start looking too much? Is it full? Is it full? This is a lot, a lot of elements to be bringing to this layout, but it doesn't look like a lot because in all honesty, if you look at each piece individual as a little pocket piece, it would have been perfectly fine. All right, so here is how I made my see-through butterflies pop. I took some of Janet's white paint because I didn't bring any, and her paintbrush. Thank you, Janet. And I just painted the back side, or the side that I thought was back, of my acetate piece. And I'm just trying to make this color pop without having to glue it to a piece of paper and fussy cut it out. I thought painting the backside would be marvelous. So that is what I did. There it is. I'm going to set it off to the side to let it dry really quickly. And I'm going to share with you guys how I'm going to put this banner together. Now, I've already glued a few elements down. I want to say that all the photos are glued down. The journaling spot in between my two photos are glued down. And then the 4 little photos across the bottom are glued down. So now I am just working on this faux banner piece. And so how I'm going to make it into a banner is I'm just going to take this twine, my favoriteest twine in the whole wide world, you guys. Actually, I think this is the hemp twine that came with the kit, to be honest, because we gave out tons of this twine. We wanted to make sure that everybody could use as much as they wanted of it to a certain extent, but still use a good amount of it instead of you have to make sure it's only 13 inches long type of thing. So we just wanted to make sure this go around, because we learned at our last cruise that some people don't measure and they just eyeball it, and then they don't have enough for the next project or the very last project. So I'm also tying some knots at the end of my, excuse me, I'm tying some knots at the end of my twine because I want it to look like it is a banner. And most banners that I make have something at each end, whether it's a little bit of frill or a knot or a loop, something that tells me that this is a banner piece. And so that is one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I did. I didn't know exactly how much twine. I think this is the last of the twine that came in the kit. And that's why I have this specific amount. And I'm just trying to make sure that it goes from, one side of my page to the other with a little bit of loopies in there. I wanted to make sure that I had a bunch of loopies. I definitely made some loopies bigger than others because I wasn't sure how I was going to, make all this happen. So I definitely had to pull and twist and tug and get a few things to work in my way to get that banner piece going. All right, so now the last thing I'm going to do is add this butterfly that we created and made a little bit more solid to my layout. I tucked it behind my my wood piece. That was hard, especially when I already took the adhesive off of the wood piece, and that adhesive is very strong on those wood veneer pieces. So just be careful if you're going to be doing that. But luckily it popped right up for me and was able to go. And that is my layout, you guys. I love pocket pages, but I also love making faux pocket pages and creating a layout that looks like a pocket page, but I had full freedom of the whole page, and I don't have to worry about cutting it down or putting it on top of the page or what pieces go where and all that stuff. So I love how this ended up looking. Thank you so much, Brandy, for such an amazing sketch. I had a blast. Don't forget to check out the playlist that I have for Mix It Up Monday. Darla, thank you for allowing me to scrap lift you today. I had so much fun on this layout. Don't forget to check out the playlist that I have for May I Scrap Lift You. I have a personal playlist for Messy Monday in case you want to go see past videos. And of course, don't forget to check out Janet Fritz's channel, who is playing along with me using her photos from our cruise from 2025 as well. So again, thank you so much, and I will check you guys all later. Bye.